Steve Forbes was shaking his head when he heard that revenue neutral stuff. Forbes media chairman and Fox News contributor joining me now. They still seem stuck on this idea that Mnuchin, to his credit, our Treasury Secretary, doesn't. He said, look, we're not going to be worried about whether the debt goes up a little bit after the tax cuts because growth is going to take care of all these problems. But he hasn't talked Congress into that.
Well, it's an amazing thing that this is a self-imposed straitjacket. We know the Congressional Budget Office, which they strangely worship, this fake god, that always impacts the impact of tax cuts. They always underestimate.
They're always wrong.
They're always wrong. And so they continue to do this crazy exercise instead of saying, assume 3.5% over 10 years, which is the average historically in this country. No deficit. Stop worrying about it. Go for a big, fat tax cut. Don't get in these fights about 401k, state and local deduction. You can do a clean the code thing later.
Particularly when you're following people who always get it wrong. I mean, that's one thing you should learn. If you can't learn to do things right, at least don't repeating things that go wrong.
Well, if the CBO, if they could predict the future, they would be buying lottery tickets. You'll learn more from a horoscope than you will from them about the future.
Planned economies don't work. And by the way, on the state and local deductions, we just got word from New York and California's Democratic governors. Surprise, surprise, they say, gee, we don't like the idea of ending these deductions because some people would leave our states under the proposal. Well, guess what? People vote with their feet. If your taxes are too high locally, people will move to a different state. That's what happened in Illinois. That's what's happening in New York. Maybe that's a sign that it should be done.
Well, in California, the only reason they haven't had a huge drop-off in population is because of immigration. But you still have a lot of what they call out-migration, people, residents in the state moving out. So, and the thing, though, with Congress, it's too late to do a big tax reform. They should have started that at the beginning of the year instead of getting caught up in health care. So just go for a big Reaganist tax cut. They can do another tax cut next year or the year after.
Happened in the Reagan administration. You had one in 81 that kicked in 83. And you had another big one in 86. Let me just talk about one thing that might mitigate against tax cuts, and that's the economy is doing so well right now. We can put up a number of indices. The real GDP, as we just learned, is up another quarter. That's a second, 3% growth in 2 quarters. Million jobs created. Unemployment at a 16-year low. 34 new record highs for the stocks. And today you saw what happened in the NASDAQ. Does the good news on the economy make it tougher to get tax cuts?
Well, you hit a good point. This is going to make, not in terms of hours work, but the Republicans kind of lazy. Hey, things are going well. Why should we do this hard lifting? Let's just go with this net neutrality nonsense instead of doing the big lift that Reagan did in the early 80s. And so that is a danger. And what they don't realize, yeah, it's nice to have 3, but we're capable of 4 and 5. Get off of this rut that we've been in the last 10 years. Get the average for the last 20 years up to 3%. That means we need some 4%. So don't relax on the oars. But they don't seem to realize that.
After the tax cuts in the 80s, in 83 it was up 4%, in 84 was up 7%, so we are capable of much more than 3s. 401ks, this is one of the few things that the middle class has, that one of the few breaks that those in the middle class get as a result of what the government has done. Should it be changed at all, or just don't touch it?
Don't touch it, especially now that you already sound like you're taking something away. They made that mistake with this crazy 20% border tax, which would have slammed working families, struggle from paycheck to paycheck. So why do you keep putting your foot in the bear trap? Democrats are loving this. So people now think their 401ks are in jeopardy. Good work, Republicans. You know, messaging 101. They need to go take a refresher course if they ever took one.
Pulling victory or defeat out of the jaws of victory. Steve Forbes, good to see you. By the way, you can catch Steve Forbes and me every Saturday, 11 a.m. on Forbes on Fox on the Fox News Channel.